Welcome, food lovers. Thanks for stopping by. Today we are going to be making a dish by the name of Let's Light This Candle, creamy mushroom chicken, which is delicious. It's a Julia Child's recipe and I love it. It's a taste of France and it's one of my favorite comfort foods. I have the butter melting already over here, so we're just about ready to start cooking. First of all, poulet. Chicken is ready here. I am going to use this reamer and a fresh lemon. Next ingredient is salt. And I'm using a Himalayan pink salt because it's really good for you and because I love the flavor. Now, as you can see, my hand is held up really high. So as I'm seasoning anything, I always season from a height. And I always throw salt over my shoulder because it's good luck. So, in some cultures, white pepper is the next ingredient. And I know what you're probably thinking is white pepper. Ooh, I know. The reason we're using it is because we're making a creamy white sauce and we don't want any of the pepper to be visible. So that's why we're using it. And the flavor, yes, it's more intense, but we're just gonna use a little tiny bit. So there we go. Our butter is hot. There's a fine line between hot and burnt. We want it nice and hot. So I can smell it, it's ready to go. We're cooking in a cast iron skillet. I love cooking in cast iron, number one, because this is oven friendly. This is all going to go straight into the oven. And number two, it's actually healthy for you, healthier than Teflon, for example. And you do actually get some iron from using cast iron. Shallots. We are cooking with shallots. I love shallots. They're part of the onion family. And they are, here's a small one. Well, they come in all different sizes. They're smaller than onions. They are much, much sweeter and much more flavorful than onions are. So they're a much friendlier onion to the palate, I would say, than your standard onions. So I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit here. We're cooking with gas today. Our next ingredient, mushrooms. So I'm just sauteing these shallots until they're slightly brown, just a little bit. I'm moving them around a lot. Onions have a lot of sugar in them, so they burn quickly, so you have to keep them moving. And so lightly browned, there they are. Now, these mushrooms, they're actually dried mushrooms. I love dried mushrooms because they have so much flavor. Let me just show you the mushrooms. Here they are, dried, and the flavor is so intense. So you can just keep them in a jar and rehydrate them and use them whenever you're ready to cook. The other upside of mushrooms is that you also, from hydrating them, you also get a liquid. And it's kind of like a mushroom broth. And so what I'm going to do, here's the mushroom broth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use that in place of chicken broth for our cream sauce. And so now I'm just lightly sauteing the mushrooms as well. And as far as cooking language is concerned, saute is a French term. Most of the kitchen terms come from, if not all, come from France. And the word saute, for anyone who has gone further than grade 2 French, which I have, saute means to jump. So, in other words, when a recipe says to saute, that means to keep your ingredients moving. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now, mushrooms have a lot of moisture. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of salt to draw out that moisture. So these are coming along nicely. Then what happens next is that the chicken goes on top and then we place it straight into the oven. So here we are. I am just moving these around a little bit. And these tongs are great. They are silicone and they don't scratch anything. You don't have to worry with cast iron anyway. The one thing is that they're very slippery, so you probably noticed I was trying to pick up the chicken and I couldn't. That's because these are slippery, but they still work. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the chicken is now cooked. The magic of television, the magic of YouTube television. It's now cooked. I am now adding in the mushroom broth. Okay, that's from the hydrated dry mushrooms, which are perfect. And then I'm also going to add, in this case, there are a lot of options as far as flavor in terms of alcohol to cook with. Today we're cooking with sherry because I love sherry. And so I've just put that in. And so we're having some sherry from Spain. And sherry is a delicious fortified wine. I've been to the sherry capital of the world, which to me is the south of Sevilla. And it's incredible. It's sweet and it's smooth. So, sherry. So now I'm going to turn the heat up, and I'm just going to reduce this a tiny little bit. And what I want to do is to deglaze the pan. So I want to get all of the flavors from the oven. I want to get them from the bottom of the pan so that our sauce is deliciously flavorful. That's what I would like to do. So that's coming, and I can actually smell the sherry. It's delicious. So that is coming along, deglazing. And so we're just going to let it reduce a little tiny bit, not too much. It's coming to the boil, and I'll just keep moving it. We don't want to let it reduce too much because I love all of the flavors. I'm adding the cream, and look at that. So I'm going to let that heat through a little bit. We let this cream sauce cook through a little bit. And then we add the chicken, and then we garnish with parsley, one of my favorite garnishes. And voila, our chicken is ready. So thank you. I will see you next time, and I hope you enjoy this dish.